Welcome back, everybody. Episode 56 of Canes Local. This week, we'll talk about the Canes 3-game homestand, how the new guys are fitting. Are they? Trades coming up, 3 stars, and much more coming up next. All right, guys, let's dive right into which is always a cool event, is Whaler Night. I got to say that's probably one of my favorite jerseys ever, and it still is. They've used the green ones in the past, but these white ones I just are absolutely killer. I love the look of them. They are so much better than our home white jerseys. I love it if they came back and that became their new identity, but that's not going to happen. So.
No, okay. So hold on. This is where I wanted to dive into this. So I have heard multiple things from multiple people that have some sort of inside information, whether it's via media, via actual team information, that Tom Dundon is not the biggest fan of the color of our normal uniforms. He does not like the red, the black. He doesn't like that combination. He wants to change out of it. So every single time he puts on one of these Whaler nights and we win, I think it's pushing him more and more towards let's do this jersey right there, that one right there. But just instead of that logo, put the Canes logo on the front of it in a blue and green color pattern. Oh my God. Please, Dundon, I know you don't like the jerseys. I don't care what we got to do with the NHL. We own these color palettes. Like, we own that color scheme. Let's bring back the Whalers colors. We can retire the logo. We can finally get rid of the Whalers night logos and all that kind of stuff, because the whole reason we do this jersey in the first place is because, first of all, the logo is the most iconic logo. So it's one of the coolest logos of all time. I don't really want to retire the logo, but it is what it is. But we do it because it's a really cool color pattern, and it's one of the most iconic color patterns in hockey. And we just got rid of it. Let's bring it back. Bring it right on back. Come on.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Bring it back. Because you have three jerseys automatically.
Yeah. Get rid of the red jersey and just make it that white one.
Get rid of all three jerseys.
The blue one.
Get rid of all three jerseys.
I don't know if they'll be able to do that, but yeah. I mean, the reason they go with the red and black too is because of NC State. So that's part of the reason that they have that kind of collaboration with them as well. So
when you look at the Lenovo Center and what they're looking to do with it in the future, they're already talking about renovating it in a standpoint to where it can fit multiple teams of different variants. And the reason why they worded it that way is I genuinely think Dundon wants to go away from the red. And so if he's going to make the stadium, and this is coming out of his pocket / I know some of it's going to be taxpayer dollars as well too, but anyways, he's looking to push it more towards a neutral color scheme where stuff can be switched in and out to whether it's NC State playing that day or whether it's the Carolina Hurricanes playing that day. They're looking at, when they do the seat upgrades, they're already talking about doing black seats instead of the red seats they got in there currently. They're talking about doing all neutral colors inside of the suites where it's all gray tones, and then the pillows are different colors. The pillows are green, or the pillows are going to be red or whatever, so they can change it out via whatever team's on the ice or whatever team's in the stadium. I genuinely think he's looking towards going to a different color, whether it's the blue and the green of the Whalers or whether it's something completely different where we get rid of a color and we just become black and white or something like that. I don't know. But I think he's looking to change it. He doesn't like it. And if I'm the owner of a team and I don't like the colors, I'm going to do what the fuck I want to do with it and change the colors.
Change them. Yeah.
I own the thing, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I love that. I mean, I think from a merchandising perspective, I mean, that apparel would go out of the roof. I mean, because it's not just known by the local community here. I mean, it's known by
hockey
everybody.
Royalty in colors. Everybody knows the colors.
And it's like one of those things that it's just like even non-hockey people wear Whalers stuff. I mean, just because of what it is. And so, I mean, I agree. I love it. I've always loved it. Even when they sucked back in the 70s and 80s, I still loved it. So they were horrible. I love the blue. They have the blue version, which could be, it's like a third jersey, but I love the blue combination.
Make the blue the home one, make the white the away one, and make the green the third jersey. There you go.
I think it'd be awesome.
Wrap
I
it
really
up in
do.
a bow. I think the blue ones are a more conformed one to where it looks nicer on a given basis every night, game in, game out, kind of like the black one does now, in my perspective. Looks just a little cleaner every night, where the green one's a little bit more egregious, kind of like Dallas's third jersey, where it has the neon green on it. You don't want to see it all the time, but every once in a while, sprinkled in there, it's a real nice touch to it, because it's like, oh, that's something different. But I think you do that with the three jerseys. You just do blue and green. I would love it. I mean, because outside of NC State's colors, there's no other reason why the Hurricanes are black and red. It's not like they're black. I guess.
Yeah, I think
the hurricane warning flag, I guess, is black and red. So that kind of
that's probably why.
Yeah, they did that. They did. It's really, I think, more so that than anything. It just, ironically enough, coincided with NC State.
Yeah, fair.
But I think it was also just a branding thing when they first started. Is, we got to build a base, and our base here is basketball. So what do we got to do to build the base, have similarities, colors, and so on and so forth. So I think it's probably why they did it originally, but I think now the Carolina Hurricanes have an identity now that they don't need to rely on the college basketball scene to generate their fan base, because their fan base is here.
Yeah,
it's been here, it's going to be here, it's going to continue to grow.
I think it's getting stronger too.
As long as they put good product on the ice, I don't give a crap what color they are. They're going to have a fan base that are going to be Carolina Hurricane fans, and not NC State fans that just happen to be a Carolina Hurricane fan. There's not that way anymore, and it's really exciting.
But outside of that, the product on the ice was quite the show. I'll tell you what, that Buffalo game, I know we just went last week on absolutely grilling them and harping on how poorly we had played. I think probably the most complete effort from a week. I know the Edmonton game didn't go our way, but the thing I loved about the games kind of as a whole is we didn't give up a ton. Yes, there was a couple. The Edmonton game, maybe, if Anderson's in, maybe a little bit of a different story and how that outcome is, but also we couldn't put anything past there. Like, we couldn't put anything in the net. So it's one of those things that we've been in games, and the team defense has been significantly better. And that is a massive positive, because up to this point, I don't think we've had a complete team defensive, like even a 5-game stretch where our team defense has been competent, let alone
in a long
good.
time.
It's been a long time. And so
it's like,
it's fine. It's fun. It's good to see that. And I think the more we see our defensive game become, and I'm not just talking about the defensive six, I'm talking about the forwards coming back. I'm talking about doing your job in the defensive zone. The more we see that continue to progress in the right direction, the offense will start to come again. It will. I have no doubt in my mind, because good defense leads to offense, and we just haven't been playing good defense, and we haven't been generating any offense, and we generate a lot of our offense in years past, and the way Rod's system works is based off of generating good defensive plays and turnovers in the defensive zone that lead to rushes up the ice. And we just have completely gone away from our game, and then coincides that we get these new guys and they're expected to change the org, when I don't think it was ever really on them to change it. It was the guys in the locker room that had been there to do what we normally do. And Rod's system can work. It can. What, is it the best system in the world? No, I don't think so. I think there's some flaws to it. But when we play the way that we can play and the way that we should play under Rod's system, it does work, and it works really well. I think it just tuckers guys out really quickly. But I'm happy to see that the team defense is starting to take center stage, and we're actually starting to focus our energy onto it, because before that, it was disgusting to watch, and it becomes unbearable to watch when the team defense is all over the shop.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to, have an off game here or there, but overall it's just been bad. But with Rod's system, I mean, it's 100% buy-in. Like, you have to buy in. Mm-hmm. You have to. If you don't have everybody buying in, then it doesn't work. And I think, hopefully, again, we've had 2 games where, even though we lost the Edmonton game, I still thought they played well.
I thought the Buffalo game they played well too. I mean, I thought 3.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So the last 3 games they've played well, pretty consistently, I would say. But overall, as a whole, you have to have everybody buy in. If everybody doesn't buy in, then it doesn't work. So for them, having the new guys buy in 100% is going to make a huge difference, and it already has. I mean, you can see in the last 3 games, it's been much big of a difference. I mean, I was watching Rantanen on Sunday night, forechecking. I was like, I didn't see him do that in Colorado ever.
Yeah.
Like it was Nate Dogg running the corner, running around like a man possessed, trying to get him the puck so he could shoot it. And he said to change his game, which is hard. And again, props to him because he's buying. It shows that he's buying in.
Yep.
If he's initiating the forecheck, like it shows that he's willing to buy in. So.
And the back check in the last game too.
No,
I
think
3 or 4 of them where he came all the way 200 feet and played a really good defensive back check, which is hard to do, especially in the NHL.
Yeah, and I think to your point, Kyle, and I'll be fully transparent. I didn't get a chance to watch the Buffalo game, nor the Edmonton game. I watched a lot of highlights, but for the most part, to your point though, it's the new guys. Our guys were trying to make them, or trying to, I guess we were trying to force it too much on them, rather than our guys just playing their game and playing the way we play. And I think, I don't know what happened, the switch happened, where it happened, but you feel it. You can feel it building over the last, at least the game the last game I saw, that you could see it building with the guys were playing the way they normally play. And Rantanen was just part of the lineup, and Taylor Hall was just part of the lineup. It wasn't a matter of, oh my God, we got to get the puck to him, we got to make him successful, we got to get him a goal, we got to do all this stuff to get him to build his confidence back up. But at the end of the day, I tell you what, Mikko Rantanen could have 40 points since he's been here. I mean, if we could just put the puck in the back of the net, and that, the way his skill set, and I know everybody's if whoever listens to this and it's going to say, you're full of shit or this, that, and the other. But when you watch some of the plays he makes, his body on the puck, he protects the puck, he works it out below the goal line. That's where he is most successful, is below the goal line. And when he controls that puck, my God, it's a beauty thing to watch, because he got pucks out in front to Aho and kudos to Aho. I mean, his game is elevated. I mean, it's gotten a lot better over the last handful of games. So it's just really exciting to see, because I was getting a little nervous that, post trade, we were starting to go down a rat hole and we weren't going to come out of it. But man, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train. It's the right light. So
yeah,
good turnaround for the boys.
Well, like I had said, I think earlier in the season, I don't know what your guys' response to it was, but the genuine leader of this team, and the team follows one guy and one guy only. And I love Jordan Staal, but it's not him. It's Sebastian Aho. When he's going, the whole team goes. It's as simple as that, because he's been going the past 3 games and the team's been going right behind him. And I think there was I don't know what happened, but man, I'm happy that the mentors trip came up when it did. I think a lot of guys got to see some family members they hadn't seen in a while. They got to reset themselves, and they got to really go back to just enjoying hockey. I think the Whalers night got kind of tied into it, because it's a fun occasion. You're getting to wear a really cool uniform. You get to listen to Brass Bonanza after. It's just a cool occasion to wear that. And so I think the guys have just kind of gotten back into having a little bit more fun in playing the game. And I think unfortunately, I don't think there was enough turnaround time to get Hall or Rantanen's parents, or I'm sure Caroline, I don't know, because I've heard rumors that we've been cheap in certain departments. I don't know how true it is. When it comes to salary cap, it's definitely not that regard, but I'm sure Carolina made some sort of attempt to try and get a significant person in Rantanen's life and a significant person in Taylor's Hall life into the organization, into kind of this ordeal, but it might just not have had time to kind of come to fruition. Anyways, Aho needed something, and I think him knowing he got to see his dad, I don't know how often he comes over or something like that, but I agree with you, Dad. There's a switch in his brain that just went off. He's starting to play like Aho again, and I think that's what Rantanen needs. That's what Taylor Hall needs. They don't need the puck 100 times. They need everybody else playing their game and their style of hockey, and let those guys adapt and let those guys come in and start playing with like play in our system and they will understand. They'll get the opportunities. They'll get the offense. And I think that was part of Mikko Rantanen's frustration. You could visibly see on the ice in the first 5 games as a Carolina Hurricane was he was like, I don't know where to go because I don't know what you guys are doing because it's different every shift. We were playing so inconsistent shift on shift basis. Now it's like, okay, now I start to see, okay, Aho's, if he's taking it wide, he's probably going to do this. Now I know I need to go here because now all of a sudden I can expect that out of him because he's starting to do a consistent thing every single time he's getting the puck. And the one shift I didn't really like, I know we weren't generating a ton of offense. I really hope it doesn't stay because I really think these two guys are starting to gel. But I know we put Jarvis up on that top line again. Put Svetch back up there. Those 3 guys had something clicking. And I know Rod really likes his lefties and righties to match up. I don't care. Put Svetch back up there. Those guys are starting to buzz again. I didn't like that combination, but I'm telling you, we're on the cusp of hitting our stride, and it really might come at just about the best possible time because we seem to hit this stride always in like November, December timeframe and not, March, April timeframe. It's always way early in the season and it rides out, in March and we end up going downhill. So I'm fingers crossed that, we are, just so everybody is aware, I know we're 18 minutes in, so 90% of the population's already signed off, but those few voodoo dolls that we still got here, we are recording this right before the Detroit game. So hopefully it continues into that Detroit game in about an hour's time. But I'm excited to see it because it's starting in the right direction and it's starting from where it needs to start. And that's the back out. But
yeah, no, it's been good. Like I said, they've played a lot better for sure. And they need to just stay consistent. I mean, these guys are going to adapt, they're too good not to, especially Hall's been, shipped around to, 3 or 4 different teams. So he understands the process of how to adapt. So that's why I think we've seen him adapt a little bit quicker than Rantanen. Rantanen's never done this before. He's never been traded. He's never been with another team other than Colorado in the NHL. So it's tough. I mean, you go from one system that at like the back of your hand for 10 years, and then you go to a completely other system, So it's definitely going to be an adjustment, but yeah, if they can hit their stride, which they need to with how tight the Eastern Conference is becoming at this point, with just we can't teams from the bottom are starting to surge, and it's just going. It's crazy right now.
We can't keep going 500 and expect to make playoffs. Honestly,
no.
That's exactly. Yeah, you can't go 500 and expect to make the playoffs.
Yeah, especially when there's some teams out there, and I think Cam, you and I talked about him, is like Montreal and Columbus and hell, even Detroit. I mean, there's a lot of Rangers. I mean, they're coming on, and even though they liquidated a couple of players, but at the same time they're
flipped half their team.
They're coming along, and we'll but go back to how about K? Hats off to KK dropping the mitts right out of the gate on Whaler night. I thought that was awesome. I think it set the tone. He I don't know if it was pre-planned or what happened, or he just asked him to go, or somebody asked who to go, but I thought it was awesome. I think he needed that. He needed a little bit of he's already had got a lot of toughness to his game, but that just added another dimension. And I think it rallied the guys, and I think it was actually pretty cool to see, and they just kind of took over the game from there. Again, I didn't watch it, but just from the commentary from everybody that's talked about the game and talking to you guys, it was Carolina's game. They controlled it for the majority of the hockey game.
Yeah. Yeah, basically that was it.
So we'll scoot over to the game I did see. We went to see they played Calgary on Sunday. And I tell you what, Calgary's a good team. They're a good team. They got real good goaltending.
I was gonna say they have a really good goalie. I don't know. Are we gonna?
But I think they're one of those teams. They're gritty. They're built a lot like we were probably 2 or 3 years ago.
They remind me of Columbus.
Yeah, they're very gritty. They're hard nosed. They're hard to play against defensively. They got some elite level defensemen. And then they grind. They're just a forechecking. They're a grinding team, and that's what makes them so hard to play against. Because if you don't have a lot of speed in your team game, or you're slow, they'll eat you alive and twice on Sunday. But I thought the Canes did a really nice job. It's the first game that I've really been able to watch and found that the Canes were back to their original forecheck, their pressure, their puck
Yeah.
pressure. They were all over it. And I'll say in that game against Calgary though, Kyle, I really did like Jarvis on that top line. And I really loved Svechnikov's game. I thought he didn't get a point, but man, his fingerprints were all over that hockey game. And he
Yeah, the
drops the
fight.
gloves at the end. And, it's just like he was, in my mind, he was the a non-point getting star of that hockey game because he created so much energy. And he worked his bag off. He really worked the wall like I've not seen him do in a long time. So that's really exciting.
Well, speaking of point-getting stars, Jacob Slavin recorded his first 2-point night since December against a team that's not named Chicago. So, because he's had 2-point nights since then.
Yeah, so did Jackson Blake.
Yeah, so
I mean,
Yeah.
did he?
But
He didn't have a
he
2-point
He
night
was
against Calgary.
he was on the ice
he
in
assisted
overtime.
he assisted for the overtime
He
goal.
had the second
Did he?
assist
And
in
Slavin's
overtime.
goal,
I
yeah.
know that. All right.
He had
Yeah.
2 points as well.
Well, I tell
Also-
you what, did you guys watch
That kid, man.
Did you
Taylor
see the
Hall should have
replay?
got an assist on that first goal. I'm sorry, but I know it does. The hit doesn't count, but the whole
Yeah.
thing gets set up because he hits friggin' Calgary on
Yeah.
the boards.
Mhm.
Yeah. But how about well, I tell you what, did you guys see the replay? That was about a millimeter from being offsides.
I
The
did
first
not.
pass from Slavin across the blue line.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was close.
I
Yeah.
watched it. I was clicking it frame by frame.
it
Because
was
when I
close.
saw it, I was sitting in the seat. I was like, there's no way that's not going to be called back because that was offsides. But man,
know.
I tell you, it was like a whisker. If
It was very close.
it was very, very close. But hey, Slavin does what he does, man. He makes a play and goes hard to the net. And thankfully he didn't hurt himself sliding into the post.
You see his post game presser after?
I did not. No,
Oh, he's
we were in
sitting
the
there.
car.
No.
He's sitting there. He's like, I'm not gonna lie. I passed it over to him when I figured he was gonna go score, but then he gave it back, and I was like, oh well.
I guess I got to do it now.
He's
Pressure's on.
like, I'm not typically the noted goal scorer, but I figured all the guys crashed the net, so that's what I got to do.
That's right.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
So it was really a fun game to watch. Like I said, I think the Canes played a really, really, really good game. And Kochetkov, I thought, played well too. I mean, he settled in, made a couple little kind of dicey ones at the beginning, but man, he had a poke check and he was just solid. And he didn't get too overwhelmed by the shots. They had a couple of odd man rushes and but man, I thought he played exceptionally well. So I was really excited to see the team. I hadn't felt that way in probably a couple of months to where I was like, oh, here we go again. Are they gonna get out of their own way? Are they gonna, finally figure out how to do it again? And but I think they're getting there. And I really do think the new guys are starting to fit and figure it out. And it's that I mean is exciting to see because those two guys, they can be difference makers and rightfully so.
Yeah. And my final thought on kind of the week as a whole, I'm going to eat my words a little bit here. I thought two guys that had I wouldn't say exceptional weeks, but in comparison to where they have been in months past, I thought two guys that really stepped up their game. And right after we kind of had a shit talking session on them, that Dmitry Orlov actually looked pretty good this week. And I also thought Brent Burns actually looked pretty good this week. So keep it up, keep going.
Yeah.
But maybe that's all they needed. They just needed to get a query in their ear, not from us because they don't listen to us, but just maybe something in the universe needed to push them in the right direction. But I thought both of those guys actually had a lot better week, and I figured since we had been the first to kind of rip on, well, not first, but we were ripping on them. We figured, at least I figured I would come back and say I thought they actually had quite significantly better weeks than what I'd originally seen from them. So.
Yeah, I think the other thing too in that case is that when the guys in front of them play better defensively, it really eliminates a lot of the pressure from the back guys to really shoulder all the load. And I think that was the big thing. And Burnsy's the kind of guy that he's I'll call him a risk taker, but
Talking about risk take. Orlov,
Yeah.
Orlov had
both of them,
4
yeah.
interceptions in that Calgary game where he wouldn't do that because we never had any backfill pressure. You're 100% correct, Dad. We didn't have any backfill pressure. Now all of a sudden, the Calgary game, we got 4 guys humming back into the zone, and he's stepping up, making suicide plays. But
so
work.
that's what we're good at, and that's why having, to your point earlier, team defense is so important, and it really helps. It helps the defenseman play a better game.
Mhm.
And it was true, and I agree. I thought Orlov still a couple of pizzas up the middle, but for the most part, I think defensively they were pretty strong. I still would love to see a guy like Sean Walker up with Slavin or somebody different up there. I still love to see that. Just give it a shot for a game.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think in Rod's head, though, he also sees it as the best possible partner to have for Brent Burns because he's going to make a lot of mistakes. Is not going to be Shane Gostisbehere. It's going to be Jacob Slavin. So I don't disagree with you, but it's just like if I'm the issue I have with it is he somehow still plays 26 minutes a night. So that's the problem I have with it. Outside of that, like I get why Rod puts Slavin and Burns together. It's because if you're going to put anybody out on the ice with next to Brent Burns, who's going to be a defensive liability, I'd rather have Jacob Slavin out there than anybody else. So you're not getting burnt. Granted, it's a waste of Jacob Slavin's talent, but it is what it is. Granted, I think next year, I don't think we re-sign Burns. I think Rod's gonna have a hard time with it. I think Tulsky has a idea on what he wants out of this team, and he's been talking about, we're gonna have so much cap space in the offseason. We're not gonna have cap space if we sign Burns for $4 million, which is what he's gonna fetch. Just in all honesty.
Well, I mean, I guess. Well, it just depends too. If he wants to come back or if he wants to retire. That's question one. I think he will end up coming back.
He's gonna play another season because he wants the Iron Man record, which I think
that's cool. He can go do it somewhere else.
Yeah,
I like him. Like I'm like he's a good guy for sure. I mean, you see it all the time on the ice and off the ice. He's definitely a great locker room guy, but he just doesn't have it anymore, man. He really doesn't. And I think part of it too is that the expectation from the team is that he plays those top minutes, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's like you said. I mean, if you don't play him with Slavin, like he's gonna get whoever that partner is with him is gonna get eaten alive.
So it's gonna be Orlov or Ghost, and I don't mean who.
I know that's what I mean. So the only solution is play him with Slavin or scratch him.
Yeah,
that's it.
They're not gonna scratch him, so
I know. So they're gonna play him with Slavin. So. End
of story.
Yeah.
There we go. Yep. That's the end of that.
Stamp it.
No, okay. It's just I'm more looking at next season. Like I don't see I see somebody, even a San Jose or somebody like a Chicago, somebody.
I could see him going back to San Jose.
Very well, could easily
San
see
Jose,
him going back
man.
to San Jose.
I'll put a thumbtack in San Jose. We'll talk about them later.
Yeah, the thing is that they would probably be willing to give him 4x2. Where I think Carolina probably extends him an offer. As bad as that is to say, I do think they do, but I think it's going to probably be at like 1.52 for a year.
It's going to be low.
It's not going to be high because if he's going to come back, he's going to play limited minutes, and I think that's what everybody sees. He's going to play very limited minutes. But I see too many other teams giving him more money than we would give him, and I don't know if that's the end all be all for him. Maybe he wants to win the cup because he hasn't won one yet. So. I think Tulsky does actually extend him an offer. I just don't think it's going to be what other teams are willing to give him. So,
yeah. So let's spin over to the two new guys. I know we talked a little bit about them, but I really do think that they're starting to fit in. I really see I see a difference in Rantanen. I see a lot more emotion out of Rantanen other than banging the stick on the ice. He still does it. Don't get me wrong, but
I'd rather that than a guy that does nothing.
Doesn't care.
Give a shit.
Yeah. So I think
I'd rather that than Alex Semin.
Yeah, that's the thing I love. That's the thing. Yeah, there you go. Wow.
Man.
You went into the archives on that
one. $1 million per goal, one season. Yeah, seven goals for $7 million. How about that?
All right. I need to get myself out of the fog again. You just put me to a dark place. I don't want to be back in that place.
Yes, sir.
Please,
you want to know how
don't put me back
lifelong Hurricanes fans we are. I can name you a bunch of guys. You want to talk about old names? How about Anton Babchuk? That's a legend. That's a Canes legend.
Yeah.
Joe Corvo was his partner.
Well, he was actually those guys are legends
Yeah.
though. Like Semin, dude, that contract. I don't know why they picked it up. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
I
either.
don't know.
That was
Got bag
No,
overhead. They got
so we didn't pick it up.
highway
We signed him.
robbery.
We signed him to we got him on a 1-year deal from the Capitals. He had 1
And
year
then we
left on his
extended him.
contract. We signed him to a $7 million a year deal. After, granted, the first season we had him, he had 28 goals and like 39 assists or something like that in a shortened season. That was the lockout year. And the following season
was
is when
a
we
partial
signed him
lockout,
to $7
yeah.
million per year.
And he ended up, what did he play 2 years of that contract?
No, 1 year, and then we bought him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he scored 7 goals.
Are we still paying him? I wonder.
No.
No, I think we finished paying out a couple of years ago.
Yes, we did.
Anyway.
Anyway, I don't know how we got sidetracked. Thanks a lot, Kyle.
Yeah,
You got
well,
sidetracked.
because we were
Talking
talking
about
about Rantanen actually giving a shit, and I said,
Yeah. It's better than it's better. It's way better. Yeah,
than Semin, baby.
he definitely
It's
does.
better than Semin.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I think he's really starting to see, he's starting to see that it's coming, it's here, and he's really, I think he's gotten a lot more responsibility here than he had in Colorado. I think for the most part, I think he's trying to figure out, shit, I'm supposed to be the guy. And I'm supposed to be the guy that's fighting for, a 14-year, $13 million, $14 million contract. And what am I doing? I think he's got to take a lot of pressure off himself and just play. And it's starting to, you can see it because he makes some incredible plays and passes. And the other guy too, that I think, and I agree with your earlier comment, Kyle, is I'd love to see Svechnikov back with them because those two, when they connect with passes, it's ridiculous how they get through those seams.
Svech has just got to shoot the damn puck.
Svech is Svech is just a playmaker. Like it's shown that he wants to be a playmaker, which is fine. Let him be a playmaker, but you need somebody on the line that's willing to just fire the puck, and that's Rantanen.
Yep.
So that's why those two will work well together. Rod hates having 3 lefties on the same line, man. It eats him alive. You could see it. He was so ready to switch him with Jarvis.
Second
it was
didn't
crazy.
start
He was
working,
like,
he was like, give me,
dude. The minute it was like he had any question mark, he was like, put Jarvis on the first line. He hates having 3 lefties on one line. He hates it.
Call me crazy, and I know it's just based off of his recent form. Would we ever see a universe where maybe a Bradley Nadeau? I didn't even know the dog was in here. I'm not going to lie to you. So give me 1 second. But is there ever a universe where we would see a Bradley Nadeau get called up and play?
No,
but
I don't think so.
He's had 19
They'd make a
goals
trade
in the
before
past
that.
24 games. We need that level of goal scoring.
If they're not calling up Scott Morrow to replace Burns or Orlov, they're not going to call up Nadeau. Morrow deserves to be playing right now. He deserves it.
He does.
But he's not because Burns is there.
Yep.
That's literally, if Burns wasn't there, they'd have him playing first line right with Jacob Slavin. I promise.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kyle, though. I think he's getting closer to earning that shot.
He is.
I think if somebody goes down, in my opinion, he's the first one to call up, but
I don't know.
I still think you don't. Oh, maybe not. I don't know, but maybe. But
Rod loves a little Juha Jaska.
I don't know that
he loves guys with some. He likes veteran guys. He hates.
I don't know that he's got enough.
He hates it.
Enough size. I don't think he's in his build yet for an NHL roster. I think that's his
counterpoint.
A bit of it.
Cole Caulfield's got 20-something goals 32 goals this season, and he's 5'6".
No, that's not what I'm saying. I guess it is what I'm saying, but he's also not played in the NHL either.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
So I think you got to get some reps sooner or later sometime, but I think in his case, you don't. I don't know if you replace him with anybody that's on the current roster, quite honestly.
It was more a hypothetical just because of his goal scoring touch. The thing I do agree with you guys more than anything, I don't think it's the right time to call him up at all. I think he's just now starting to hit his form where he's dominating the AHL. And you look at a lot of guys coming up, when they dominate the AHL for a season, they come up and they have a lot more confidence than guys that just jump right into the fire. So let him rattle off the rest of the season he's the second in points right now. And he started the season, I think his first 11 or 12 games, he only had like a point. So it's really come in the last 20, 25 games of the season. So he's really started to take form. He's really started to take shape. But yeah, to go back to the new guys, Rantanen, he's going to fit like a glove here shortly. I have no doubt in my mind. He needed to figure out the new system, but I don't think he's opposed to playing it. It's a lot like Team Finland. He every time he plays for Team Finland, he's very noticeable and he plays very well, but they play a very similar style to the Hurricanes. They play a very forechecking, get the pucks in deep, play below the goal line, work pucks up to the blue line, get shots through. That's how they play. That's how Carolina plays. I think it's just going to be a little bit of an adjustment period for him. Yes, I agree with you on if he's going to be a $14 million per year player, he needs to be the guy. But the issue is that while he's figuring out how to be the guy and not having a Nate or a Cale Makar, and that doesn't get wrapped into the conversation enough. When Nate McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen were on the ice, 92% of the time they had Cale Makar sitting right behind him too. You had three of the top 5 players in the league sitting on the same ice all the time. There's a reason why Natchez is lighting it up. Again, you put anybody out there, they're probably going to do pretty well. Like, they have to have some level of competency to play with those guys 100%, but there's a reason why Marty Natchez has so many points right now, because he's playing with Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon. That's simple as that. But to go back to Rantanen, when the guys start playing well around him, it's going to allow him to gain confidence naturally through it. And I think that the boys are starting to play well around him. Him and Aho are starting to find chemistry, which is the most important thing, because Rod did not want to take those two guys apart. And it's kind of a force-fed chemistry that they're finding, but I'm happy they're starting to find it. I think finding the other winger on that outside to make a dominant line is going to be crucial there. Taylor Hall, I got no worries about. He fits like a glove because we play his style of hockey. North-south, fast. He can do that, and that he does in spades. One thing I want to do with him, get more comfortable on the puck. You can tell he's played in Chicago. He fumbled everything. And it's just like everything's on his stick, and it's like he feels like he's got to get it immediately off, because in Chicago he had no help. Here he's got some help. He's got guys filling lanes. He's got guys crashing in right areas. Get pucks into the right areas and just start playing your style of hockey again. That's going to come with time as well, too. That's the Chicago effect, unfortunately.
I think Taylor Hall too. My 2 cents on him, and then I guess we'll hop off on a few other things. Yeah, we'll wrap on this one, but I love his board play. I think he's so strong. I didn't realize how strong he was.
Yeah, he's an ox.
I'm with you that I think his puck handling, for being a first round pick,
first overall pick
by Edmonton.
So
he's been a league MVP.
His puck handling ability right now is a little bit challenged. You can see it. But man, when he gets on the wall, he can protect the puck. It's hard to knock him down. It really is. I watched a couple of guys try to do it in the Calgary game, and they were coming up, pushing daisies because they couldn't move him. So, but I love the fit. I really do. I think he adds a dimension, and the best part is that he absolutely wants to be here. I'm not saying Rantanen doesn't, but I know Taylor Hall does, and I think I think
he's happy being anywhere outside of Chicago.
Yeah, it's gonna pay dividends for us down the road. So, anyways, we'll leave that on the new guys, and so we'll hop over to
one final Canes point, and I think everybody's gonna be excited. Well, not excited. I don't have any new news, but still, it looks like William Carrier should be back before the start of playoffs. So that is a massive plus.
That's huge.
Massive plus, because I don't think everybody realizes how important William Carrier was to the lineup to start the season. And it's been, ever since he's went down, it's been a completely different team outside of that. So I'm so excited that he's going to be back. And I think that's the reason why he hasn't gone an LTIR yet, is because he's supposed to be back before playoffs start. Because if not, I don't know why we wouldn't put him on LTIR and just get another $2.5 million.
And use his cap space. Get somebody.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everything turns around for him, because you're right. We do need him, and he's just, he's strong. A lot like Taylor Hall. He's really strong on the puck, and man, he's just like a bull in a china shop when he comes around the front of the net. So
he was our best forechecker.
We need some grit. We need that grit back for sure.
He was our best forechecker. He made the most space. He did the most work down low. Won the most puck battles, and they missed that. They don't have that right now. So guys are having to do it themselves, So you throw him on a line with somebody else. Yeah, exactly. He's Jesper Fast, and that's what the Canes don't. The Canes kind of, obviously they brought him in to replace Fast in a sense, but without him they don't have that. So
And then sorry, final points, and then we'll go to the trades just on the Canes.
Man,
real quick.
you're like a running board guy. You got final points.
No,
Okay, go ahead.
just because I want to get KHL. I have 6 games remaining before playoffs. Is ranked 7th out of the 8 teams in their conference coming out. They will play Dynamo in the first round. Dynamo's team is stacked. I don't see them coming out of the first round. So with that being said, the last game in the KHL season is March 23rd, meaning that the final game of the first round should be anywhere between April 8th to April 12th, depending on if they play every other day. I think in the KHL, they play like every other day for the home games. And then when they travel, they have another break day in between. So if the game goes 7, or if the series goes 7, I don't suspect it will. They'll be done probably the 12th at the absolute latest. Meaning we could see Alexander Nikishin in a Carolina Hurricanes uniform with 4 games remaining before playoffs, because Carolina would still have 4 games left if they were to sign him, bring him over, and he plays kind of right away type of ordeal. So just something to keep an eye out on, that he could be here as soon as right before playoff time frame for us here in Carolina. And then the other one, Nikita Artemov is 2nd in KHL with scoring for rookies, or technically not a rookie, but guys under the age of 8 or under the age of 19, because he played last year in the KHL. One thing I do want to make note of as well too, he is playing on the 8th seeded team. His contract is not due until next season, so we can't get it. Well, we could get him in the offseason, but we'd have to buy him out of his contract for next year, that kind of thing. But we want to talk about Ivan Demidov, the Montreal Canadiens 5th overall pick that everybody and their mother is glorifying. He's 1st in scoring. He's playing on a better team. He's playing with Nikishin. They're 1 spot better, but he's exploited the power play points significantly. Excuse me, I'm getting off of a cough. But Artemov has the most 5-on-5 points by any player under the age of 21 in the KHL. And it's not even close. The better part of his game is they say his defensive game is better than his offensive game. Everybody inside of Russia had him last year, and when he was supposed to get drafted, had him ranked in the top 20 prospects overall. He's supposed to get drafted in the top 20. Ends up falling to 50th overall. He was the only underager to be playing in the KHL last year. I have very high hopes for this individual. He's looking at being about a point-a-game player in the KHL as an 18-year-old. He was a half a point-a-game player, which Demidov didn't play in the KHL last year. So, again, Carolina's got a lot of prospects, because all of a sudden they keep popping up, and we seem to be getting all these Russian guys for steals, because he was a 2nd-round pick. Nikishin was a 3rd-round pick, and all of a sudden these 2 guys are 2 of the top prospects coming out of the KHL. So, exciting times for Carolina in the future. Now let's go to the trades. So that was the last thing I wanted to get off, just a little wrap on that portion of it.
Yeah, no problem. So we'll spin around. Look, I mean, a handful of trades here over the last couple of days, and obviously there's going to be more to come, because trade deadline's next Friday, 3 o'clock. I think
this
is the
Friday
deadline.
at 3 o'clock.
It's this Friday at 3.
Oh, this Friday at 3.
This
That's
Friday
right.
at 3.
Yeah, you're right.
Phones are burning.
Sorry. Check me on that one. Sorry about that. But looks like one of the Boston boys is heading to Colorado. Or is it the Oilers?
Yeah, Trent Frederick
Edmonton,
got
Frederick
traded
to
to the
Edmonton.
Oilers. Bit of an interesting move. If I'm Don Sweeney, it's kind of what needs to happen. I don't see that they're probably going to make playoffs this year. I think there's too many holes in the lineup currently. I think they need to offload UFA guys, try and get some salary cap back to where they kind of have some room to do some stuff in the offseason and fill some of these holes. But as of right now, I don't think they make it in currently. And so I think Sweeney's doing everything he can to try and save his job, which is offload everything and try and get as many assets as he can back. But let me tell you, Edmonton, that might be one of those pieces. If they can repeat what they did last year, that might be one of those pieces that gets him over the edge. Because when he's playing, he can be just as physical, just as feisty as a Matthew Tkachuk. He's not going to put up the same offensive production. That's not what Edmonton needs. Edmonton needs depth scoring. They need depth, heaviness, and Trent Frederick just fits like a glove there. And I think really good pickup from them. New Jersey retained 25% of that salary as well too, and gave Boston a prospect as well. So bit of an interesting one there. So not too sure what happened, but
Well, it's kind of like Chicago, Rantanen and Taylor Hall. I mean, so
yeah,
it's like it's all a numbers game when it comes to accounting. So
yeah.
But that's beyond us. But the one that interested me was, the Rangers give up Lindgren. I think Ryan Lindgren to Colorado. He was, in my mind, he was I guess, one of the better defensemen the Rangers had. And so if they were trying to make a push, you hate to give up a good defenseman if you're trying to make a push for the playoffs. So, but again, who the hell knows what the Rangers are doing? I can't figure them out anyways. So they're going to do what they're going to do, and damn the torpedoes, and see what happens.
Well, again, it's whatever it is, it's working at this point. I mean, 2 shutouts in a row, so I think they won 4-0 and 5-0
direct. It was
consecutive games.
4-4 or 4-0 both games. I looked at it because I thought I'd seen a double of, but no, it was 4-0 both games.
4-0 both games. Each goalie got a shutout. I mean, they've completely flipped the roster. So literally, I think there's how many new guys have there been since the beginning of the season? They've traded away 6 or 7 guys at this point.
They got rid of Goudreau,
and they're going to trade Riley Smith.
Trouba.
Riley Smith is a pending trade. They just don't know what they're going to do with him yet.
Yeah,
at this point, he's sat out the last 2 games for trade-related reasons. So you never really know. I mean, New York's going to be an interesting one. I think the Lindgren trade was needed. Do I think it was the right defenseman to trade? Sure. Yes, I do. The only reason I say that is because I want them to keep Adam Fox.
Yeah, I know.
I want them to keep that.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Don't send Fox anywhere else. I don't care.
Miller. I want them to keep Keandre too.
Yeah.
Yes, keep both those guys, man. Sign them to long term.
Talk about a ticket sales,
like
Keandre
over
Miller,
10 million.
Baby.
Yeah, I want the Darnell Nurse contract for both those guys. But I'm just again, I think Lindgren has a lot of injury trouble. He's been injured the last couple years. He's missed a lot of games. So I think bringing in a guy, I mean, Calvin DeHaan's not going to do what Lindgren does. He's just not. Like Carolina had Calvin DeHaan for 2 years? A year,
I think it was at least
something like that.
Season, yeah.
He was a 6'7" guy, would come in when we needed him to be in the lineup, but he was never a top 4 defenseman, which they're kind of probably expecting him to be at this point. They're probably going to put him with one of their top defensemen just as a partner, and more again, if they keep rolling, then who cares? Who cares what we say?
Yeah.
But it's been interesting. This is one way of doing it as far as Drury goes for the GM. The GM spot, just completely when stuff starts to go bad, just blow it up.
Yeah,
immediately.
Without
regard.
I was gonna say, I think it feels like Drury and the team have 2 different ideas as to what the rest of the season is gonna look like. Seems like Drury's looking to sell for next season and kind of get rid of cap and get assets back, get draft picks back.
Is he? Because he keeps getting players back too. That's the thing. He keeps getting gamers back. He's not getting just picks.
That's fair.
It'd be different if he was just getting picks.
Yeah, why would you go after a JT Miller or a guy like that if you weren't really
really to sign him to a long term? Probably, I'm assuming that's.
He's
why
already on a long term. They got him
for
for 3 more seasons or 4 more seasons at where he's at right now.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. And Vancouver traded the wrong guy, so that was it's.
Well, they're talking about trading Pettersson too now.
Yeah, I mean, they probably need to. At this point, they probably need to. They need a fresh start. I mean, unfortunately, which Hughes brother? Quinn Hughes he got hurt again.
Jack's out now too.
Jack's out now too. Yeah, that was a nasty one in New Jersey.
Yeah,
he got hurt in Vegas, but yeah.
Sounds as if he might not be back this season.
Yeah, he's got. That's what I'm hearing too. Is that he's going to be out for the season, and the playoffs. Yeah. So he's out for a couple of months, which is unfortunate because he's a really good player and he means a lot to the Devils too.
Yeah, he
really does.
Absolutely.
Not quite as much as Nico Hischier, but he does mean a lot.
Not quite as much, but still, he's second fiddle. Yep. If Nico Hischier's the guy, he's definitely the guy right behind him. So
100%. The one trade that I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on, because really intrigued me, especially because they just got rid of a guy in the offseason, didn't re-sign him, and he re-signed in for a different team right around the same figure. But this Florida Seth Jones trade, because Montour signed for 7.5, and I'm pretty sure after the 25% retained, Seth Jones is on a $6.75 million a year contract or something. I could be wrong in that regard, but I'm pretty sure he's making 9.5 or something. He might even be right at the 7.5. he just seems like a very ass backwards thing. Cause I think Montour out of the two of them was the better defenseman. I
still think he's a better defenseman.
I do too. I 100% agree. I think Florida thought that they could get away with not having the right shot defenseman in that position. I think that was half of their thing. So I think it was more out of necessity that they went out and got Seth Jones, but I don't.
What
is it just me, or is it like I know Seth Jones is going to be this? He's going to be a better defenseman than he was in Chicago. He's going to have a competent partner now. Not that Vlasic is not competent, but Vlasic's a very young defenseman and he still has a lot to learn in the NHL. Now all of a sudden he's next to Mikkola, that Finnish defenseman who kind of is very similar to like a lesser Jacob Slavin, where he's just kind of an eraser. Yep. That's kind of his whole role, is just to be an eraser type of defenseman. All of a sudden, Seth Jones doesn't have to be the shutdown guy. I think it's going to improve Seth Jones's game, but my goodness, what Florida had to give up.
That's
the harder part for me.
That's the harder part for me.
Spencer
Knight.
That's
a tough bill.
And a first round pick.
Yeah.
And a first round.
For a contract that's
they're all in.
5 more years on it.
Yeah. But when you see the opportunity to win another cup, you don't really care.
That's fair.
Like, I mean, if it was, let's say, for example, the Canes were coming off of winning the cup and they're coming back to look to repeat and they still got the same core that they had, you wouldn't think Tulsky would be going out doing the same thing? I think he would.
That's fair.
Just to be able to be like, look, this is our time. This is our window. Once it's open, it's only open for a little bit. You only have so much time, and then it closes. I mean, that's why teams don't dominate for decades on end. I mean, they'll dominate for 3-4 years, and then they'll stop because that core group of guys either ages out or they get traded or whatever. But they still got the core, even though Matthew Tkachuk went down. He's probably not going to be back till playoffs.
I think that's how they're making the whole Seth Jones things work in the first place. I think he's going to go on LTIR.
I think that's probably part of it. They haven't. I don't think they've put him on like LTIR like that.
They don't technically have to until the trade deadline comes to an end.
If they want to pick up somebody else.
Well, because I
don't think they're up against the cap. I don't think so.
I don't know what the situation is.
I don't think they are.
Anyways, yeah.
But they lost. I think Spencer Knight was a huge loss for them.
That's massive.
I really do. I think he's great. He's going to do such good things in Chicago. That's what Chicago needs, though. They need to do it like San Jose's doing it. And I'm going to glaze San Jose here because I think they're real close. Like, I watched them play the Leafs last night. They are very close to being a playoff team. Like, I don't think we realize how close they actually are. I think next year they'll be a playoff team. I really do. I think they're that good. They're a couple of pieces away.
Yeah.
They need the goaltending to get fixed, which is hopefully why, I guess, Vanacek's being held out for trade-related reasons, so he's going to get dished somewhere. Who knows? But
I think Askarov.
They need somebody other than Forgiev and Vanacek, that's for sure.
They have Askarov.
They do have Askarov, but he's obviously, Nashville didn't see too much in him. They kind of got rid of him without kind of blinking an eye, so you wonder if he's actually going to become the guy. But, with goalies, it takes a while. I mean, they, unless you're just a phenom like Fleury or Vasilevsky
is a year younger than Spencer Knight, and he was a first-round draft pick, just like Spencer Knight. I think Askarov has a lot of very good things headed his way. I think he just has, first of all, he's not going to play over UC Saros in Nashville. So it was, for Nashville, it was like, okay.
Which is a shame. But
I don't disagree with you, but just in Nashville's eyes, UC Saros is their guy, which is fine. I mean, I think he's a good goalie. I don't think he's a number one flat out, like, he's going to steal you a cup, but I think he's a good goalie.
Not anymore. I mean, he maybe had a brief stint, but not anymore.
But I think that in their eyes, it was like, okay, well, we have Askarov sitting in the minors. He's either going to be a backup goalie for UC Saros, who UC Saros is one of those goalies that will play 70 games a season. Like he's kind of one of the few. There's very few goalies in the NHL that won't kind of do a 50-50 split. He's one of those guys that he'll play 70 games a season. And so it's like, okay, do we put Askarov in the NHL for 12 games, or do we keep him in the AHL and let him be the starter? And I think that's kind of what Nashville kept going on. And then at some point, it was just like, okay, well, if Saros is going to be our guy, we can get some assets back for this guy, which they did. And I think not that it helped them significantly because they're still not doing very well. But
yeah,
it just was, I think it was a very Trotz rookie GM moment where I think he got rid of an asset that I think is going to be a very good asset come 2-3 years time. It just, I think he was trying to get something going now and it just wasn't there. But I genuinely think San Jose, I completely agree with you. And I'm the same way with Montreal in the East. Montreal is like one guy away, and I think it's Demidov.
Yeah, they're
coming
really
over.
close.
I honestly don't. Are they one guy away?
They might make it this year.
They could
make it.
I think they make the playoffs this year. I really do.
I think
the
so
way
too.
they're playing.
I mean,
I think
they could roll. I think Jersey drops out, and I think they
too.
come into the wild card spot. I really do.
Well, so who takes over the other metro? Would it be Columbus, who's in right now?
It's either Columbus or New York or the Rangers.
Yeah.
And then I think it's either going to be Columbus or the Rangers. I think one of those two teams probably takes the wild card spot, and then Detroit has to keep rolling. And I don't know if they can, because they've been they've been so hot, but their penalty kill stinks. Yeah. It's less than 70%, which, again, for the Canes, I'm hoping in about, 45 minutes time that we can get some power play goals, because God, do they need it. So they can't do anything with that penalty kill being that bad. It's literally less than 70%. It's crazy. It's like 69%. It's so insane.
Sneaky team to make into playoffs. I don't think Montreal makes it this year, because I think there's another team that is just a slight step ahead of them, and that is Ottawa Senators. They're on a slide right now, but I still would not be surprised if they occupy one of those two wild card spots come playoff time.
Well, we'll find out for sure.
But,
so
yeah.
But anyways, so we're hitting that 1 hour mark, or getting close to it anyways. So we'll, if you guys are okay, let's spin off that. And again, I'll leave it to you guys on the 3 stars. I have my 3 stars of the Colorado or the Calgary game, but so from the 3 games that you've seen so far this week, let's go into, where do you find and who do you find as your 3 stars of the week?
Yeah. For me, I think trying to kind of piece together the week itself. So we had the Buffalo game and then obviously the 2 weekend games. But I think for me, I can't really pick anybody else. I mean, for me, I think 3 is probably Slavin. It's got to be Slavin. Like he had 2 points in the win against Calgary. He's always so good. Like, I feel like we never give him really, even on here. I mean, we never really give him enough credit for what he actually does game in, game out. Yeah, I'd give him number 3. I think Mikko was number 2. I think he had a really good week. You can see it, you can see it happening. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time before that first line just goes off. And then the number 1 for me has just been Aho. I just think his game has just elevated so much. He's just been such a difference maker. And yeah, those are my 3 for sure. So
yeah, I have some similarities, but some differences as well too. My 3rd star of the week, and I'm gonna keep glazing this guy because he keeps getting screwed over. But I think it really all starts with the very first shift of the Buffalo game. Jesperi Kotkaniemi set the tone for this team, and without him doing what he did, I don't think this week goes as it probably went. And I genuinely feel that way. So I'm giving him the 3rd star for that and that alone. I think the rest of his week was okay. I don't think he had his best week overall, but I still think that was the tone set, and that was what Carolina needed to really. Sorry, I'm trying to look at. Okay, I was looking at another stat for a different guy. Anyways, I think he had just a very, very, very good week. 2nd star is going to also be Mikko Rantanen, Cam, as well too. I think he's right there. I think tonight's the night. I think that line's going to pop off. I think everything is going to hit the right pace. We have all the nice people from all the families. We have all the important people in their lives coming all to Detroit, Little Caesars Arena. This is going to be the game that it all pops off. 1st star of the week is, in fact, Jacob Slavin. Just bottom line, he held Connor McDavid pointless outside of the empty net. He had an assist on the empty net goal. In that Edmonton game, I really didn't think he was, outside of the one time that he walked Jacob Slavin, which was kind of tough because Slavin was already rotating his hips, which as a defenseman, when you get caught rotating, especially with a guy like McDavid coming down with. There's no shot you're gonna get him. Like
Yeah,
there's no
chance in the
human.
Cooked every
world.
time.
Yeah.
So
Good luck.
outside of that one thing, McDavid really kind of in the Canada game, very similar thing. Once he got on Burns, then it was a little bit of a different story. But when Slavin was on him, it was very different. Like he shot him down for the most part. Draisaitl didn't really get that same matchup against Slavin because Slavin was most focused on McDavid. But I think just Slavin's week, he deserves all the praise in the world. First star of the week for me.
Yeah, again, and I guess I'll give you my quick one game version of what I think, and I agree with you though, Kyle. I think Kokniemi he set the tone for the week. He'll be I guess my honorable mention, but I'm gonna go just by the way they played. Is I'll give Slavin the third star because of what he did and how he participated and how he executed in the Calgary game. He was lights out on defense and on the offensive side, he jumped into the rush when he needed to. And I think my second star is, and I've kind of waffled back and forth on this one, but it's hard to go against the top two guys. It's hard to go against Rantanen and Aho. I think those two guys are really the way they played the game, the way they executed the game. Because I really wanted to give one of these to Svechnikov because of what he did in the game. To Svechnikov because of what he did in the game. We'll mention too, but Rantanen's he's right there, and when he pops off, man, it's going to be the league's going to go like, holy shit, it just happened. And the axis is tilting, the earthquakes are going to happen, and shit's just it's going to get real. And I think they're close because you can see it. They're really building that connection, and it's going to be fun to watch going forward. So, anyway, so we'll I guess we'll wrap the 3 stars there. And I guess we'll get ready to close the week. And just quick note for you guys, if you guys have seen it or not, but so this will be more the local flavor if you want to dive into that for a second. But the Junior Canes elite team, they won the Southeastern, won their district tournament or whatever you call it in the USPHL. I'm not sure exactly what, but they qualified for nationals. So nationals are up in Wayne, New Jersey, coming up in a couple of weeks. So I did have the opportunity to talk to Lincoln this afternoon, their GM, and kind of get his input. And he just really he's excited about the team. They work hard, their work ethic. He said, but once you get to nationals, everybody's the same. Basically, everybody's good. Everybody won their division. So there is no game off. And one thing he did say is that, and I want to get your take on this. He said, now it's going to really come down to if you execute your game plan and work hard and you do what you need to do, use your skills to your best of your ability. But then it's going to come down to some puck luck. And so the question I got for you guys, I know you guys have been in big games like this, big tournaments like this, and when you're playing your game, does the puck luck come to you just because, or is there something that generates puck luck for you? I know I have sort of an opinion, but I wanted to get your opinion on where does puck luck come from? Is it generated or is it just happens by chance?
I personally think there's 2 different types of puck luck. There is the earned puck luck, and then there's the God-given puck luck. Sometimes you earn the puck luck that you get. I can kind of think back to a game, Silver Sticks Dad, where we came up with a play called the pig, where the centerman just rips it on net and you kind of look for a good bounce, and that's creating your own puck luck because you're driving everybody to the net and you're hoping somebody can get a stick on it. Well, we end up scoring on the goal. That's creating your own puck luck. But then there's other games where I can think of a game in Quebec where the defenseman tried to go D to D, completely whiffed on the pass. I end up getting a breakaway and scoring inside of Le Colisée de Pepsi in the first game, where that's not that's just, I didn't do anything different. I didn't change anything. I just happened to be standing in the right place at the right time, and they made a bad play, and I didn't even do anything to force the bad play. It was an unforced turnover. That's just the given puck luck. That's just, you don't have any control over it. The other team might see it as bad puck, like, that's a bad play on their part, but for me, that's just a lucky bounce from the hockey gods. They just gifted me one there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, it's just sometimes you rim the puck off the glass and it ends up hitting the stanchion and bounces right in front of the net, and it's an empty net because the goalie's trying to play it. Like, there's that kind of puck luck. And then, I mean, I'm trying to think of a time when I had it. I think it was in Wayne, New Jersey as well for Nationals when I was with U16 my first year, I believe. So we were in I don't know if it was the quarterfinal or what it was, but I was playing forward. I don't know. Laszlo put me on forward. I don't know why, but I was playing forward and
he scored.
Somehow
worked.
We got tied up on the face-off, and it ended up hitting the other centerman's skate, like hitting the toe of their skate, because when they tried to go for the face-off, the puck popped up a little bit, hit their skate. It bounced just to the right, and I was able to just step in and shoot the puck immediately, and I scored. So sometimes you make it where you have to go get the puck. You have to go do it. It'll be there, but you have to still go do the work and do it. But like I said, sometimes it's just, it hits a stanchion and goes, right in front of the net for somebody to tap in. So yeah. I think more often than not, you have to make it yourself.
I agree with that statement.
For sure.
Yeah. No, I think so too. So anyway, good luck to those guys.
What a great question, by the way.
Yeah.
That was a good one. You got us into story time. I like that. That was good. Yeah.
I know.
Story time.
Anyways, I was hoping to get Brad on the phone, the coach for the elite team, to get sort of his input, but we weren't able to connect. But maybe we'll get him on the phone, and then we could kind of bring it to you next week on the podcast. So, anyways, unless you guys have anything else, I think it's a wrap for the week. But we do again appreciate everybody that subscribes, follows us. If you haven't subscribed to all the socials, please do so. Share with friends and family. We really do appreciate it. And the more support we get, the more we can do. So until next week, for Cam, Kyle, and myself, have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.